wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
That's right.
The brother Ernie Hudson. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Good.
Ghostbusters is back.
Frozen Empire, March 22nd.
That's right. Yeah, it's. I saw it a couple days ago, and I'm excited about it. It's a good movie. I think it's what the fans have been sort of hoping for. Since the first couple, I think. It's a big movie, and there's a lot going on, but I feel good about it.
How did that role change your life?
Well, I don't know. You know, it's like 40 years. When you look back at your life, I mean, it's over half my life. I know it made some changes, certainly as I was building my career, but I can't say specifically, you know, being in this movie or that role did this or that. It didn't, like, you know, from that movie, a huge part came. Or from that movie, I moved into a big house, you know. But it certainly just added to, you know, the work, you know, the career, and it's been a step-by-step process. So it didn't hurt. It didn't. It's hard to answer the question.
I feel like movies like that, and brothers like yourself, y'all experienced a different level of celebrity than folks experience now, because it used to be a big deal to be in a movie.
Yeah. And I think when you come into an industry you don't know anything about, like I did, coming from where I come from, you hear certain things, you expect certain things, and then the reality is something totally different. And so how do you adjust to that reality? I thought if I was in a big movie that was number one in the box office, that my career would change. I'm going to make some money, you know what I mean? And the whole world's going to love me. And it didn't quite work that way. But once again, it was a learning process. You know, you go, okay, this is what it is. How do I adjust? And how do I live with the reality? And so I always know that it's never as good as I think it is, and it's never as bad as I think it is.
That's what my dad used to tell me all the time. My dad used to say, in life, you have to remember, he used to say, you're never as good as you think you are, and you're never as bad as you're never as good as people say you are, and you're never as bad as people say you are.
Yeah, that's very, very true. But also, I learned very early is how you see yourself. You know what I mean? What you think you are and what you think you're not. So because you get all these signals from the outside, but ultimately the real decision is what you think of you.
So you probably would say you got famous before you got rich.
Well, I don't know when I got rich, because I'm not sure if I got rich. But I have to check on that. If I got it, did I get rich? Call my accountant. But I used to tell the joke. I came to Hollywood to be rich and famous, and I never realized you could be poor and popular. You know what I mean?
Wow.
People get you signing autographs. You ain't got no money. You know what I mean? But they expect you to behave a certain way or act a certain way, and you fall into that trap. It's very disheartening, because you begin to feel like it's not real. So you got to keep what's real. I was a single dad, so my kids always was, you know, my wake up call. You know, don't take this. Let's just get to the real bottom line. You know, are the lights going to be turned off? You know, we're going to have the phone on. You know, we got a place to stay. And there's a car with some gas in it. So to me, that was very, very basic. And Hollywood didn't change that all of a sudden. Any of those things changed. But I was able to do what I always do, which is just keep moving forward, keep making a living, keep feeling good about me. And, I think that, you know, that my grandmother would say, you know, don't worry about doing anything, you know, some brilliant thing, you know, a genius or whatever, you know, just don't do the dumb stuff. And I've always known I may not be the smartest guy in the room, but my hope is not to be the dumbest guy in the room, not do the dumb stuff, because the dumb stuff will get you killed.
That's right.
Now let's talk about the legendary role in the Ghostbusters. Now, how did you get that role? We've seen you in the A-Team, we've seen you in Dukes of Hazzard, but how did you get the role for Ghostbusters? How did that come about?
Well, I did a movie called Space Hunter with Peter Strauss and Molly Ringwald back in '82. We shot in '82, came out in '83. And it was a big studio movie, but it didn't get the traction like a Ghostbuster. Ivan Reitman produced that movie. Harold Ramis was one of the writers. And a year later, they were doing Ghostbusters. I thought I'd automatically be able to get an audition, but they refused to see me because the character in Space Hunter was was just a very different character. He was bigger than life. My head was shaved, and so I couldn't get an audition. It took me months before I could get an audition for the film, and finally they saw me after it seemed like they'd seen everybody. And I knew I'd sort of did really well in the audition, but I went. They had me come in maybe about 6 times. Put me on screen test 3 times, and eventually, I guess I just won out against a whole bunch of other folk who, it was one of those things where you feel like people would rather have somebody else, but in case we can't find anybody else,
Right.
we got Ernie over here. And I always say by the time I got the part, it was like I couldn't even celebrate. I'm like, me and the kids were
Because they
waiting.
put you through everything so long.
Yeah, I'm like, agents say, aren't you excited that you got the role? Yeah, but I mean, it's been 3 months.
Did you feel like they wanted another white person, or did you feel like it was race back then?
No, well, as a black man, everything that's ever happened in my life, I can attribute it to race on some level in my mind. I could do that if I wanted to, But I also realized it's much more complicated than that. I knew that they wanted a person of color because I think originally they thought about Eddie Murphy. Eddie had worked with Danny Aykroyd, and that's what would have been. But Eddie was doing, I think, Beverly Hills Cop, so he was busy. So then it became, well, let's get some. So a lot of my, Hispanic friends, they were seeing pretty much anybody who. So they would definitely want a person of color. But the thing was, in the Space Hunter, the character was bigger than life, and he was kind of a take charge guy. And I think they felt that wasn't the character to be with in this movie because he had to be, that fourth man on the team and not. Had Eddie Murphy done it, it would have been a whole different, different thing. So, I don't know. I always in Hollywood, I always say you never know. When you're working, you don't really know why you're working. And if you're not working, you'll never know why you're not working because nobody will ever tell you the truth.
Yeah, because the first bunch of advertisement, we didn't see the brother, right?
Yeah.
We didn't see that brother at first. We see the 3 white guys with the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Then later on, we started seeing the brother pop up. So I was like, that's what always made me feel like, damn, was it supposed to be another? Was supposed
Black
to be a brother?
people don't sell overseas.
Right. Yeah. No, there was always an excuse, But I've always attributed the work I do or in this business, like when I was growing up, trying to get a girlfriend. Sometimes the girl, she will let you sort of, come over to the house, but she ain't never going, as we say, she ain't never going to give you none. Because you ain't that guy. You know what I'm saying? But you think you are. You keep going over there and hope. And I think with the studios, especially at that time, they kind of wanted you around to do your job, but not necessarily to be that front person because all the excuses, they don't sold overseas or whatever. So you're not intended to be that guy. It's not necessary to put you on the poster. It's not necessary to include you in the promotion. And that just was, taken for granted.
When did that start to change? Because we seen it change a little bit. And why did it change?
Yeah, a huge change. And certainly in the past 15 years, because, I see things on TV that when I came out here in the 60s, you couldn't have even convinced me. I see, brothers and sisters producing and, doing all kinds of, that was, not only was it not done, we didn't even think it would be possible. So the assumption was they ain't never gonna, whoever that big they is. And that was a big thing to overcome. And it took a lot of younger generations to come along and show us old guys that, you can ask, you can step up, and it's possible. But it just, it took a while.
I wonder if that change happened because Hollywood actually wanted it to happen, or the mechanisms of distribution change. What I mean by that is, let's just say you're Netflix, right?
Right.
If you're Netflix, you'll go reach out to different marginalized groups and you'll do these specific niche TV shows and specific niche movies because if I put this Asian movie on, Asian people going to get a subscription to Netflix. If I do this black one, black people going to get a subscription to Netflix.
Right, yeah.
If I do this Latino one, Latino get a subscription to Netflix.
Right.
But then after a season, they'll cancel the TV show, but you still got a subscription. So we got you.
Yeah.
So I wonder if Hollywood really changed or just the way they were making money changed.
Well, I think probably a little bit of both. I think Hollywood has changed because I think there's always a fear if we do this, then the white people are going to cancel. But we're realizing they're not canceling because we've been entertaining since the beginning. But also, there is that belief that we're going to do this for. I think what's happening is they open the door and realize that we're making more money.
That's right.
We ain't losing no money. So as long as we're making money, and because there's a whole segment of the population probably complain about every time one of us show up on TV.
That's right.
But it's like no, they're making money, and as long as they're making money, and it pays to keep this whole diversity thing happening, and also we bring a lot too. I mean, the whole creative juice is what we bring to the table.
That's right.
So it's certainly a much more creative playing field, you know what I mean? And so we can only add to. We've been doing it all the time. It's just somebody's been, I feel like, taking our skills and then doing another version which is less than, and nobody knows what the real deal is. Now we get a chance to show what we can do, and that's all very exciting.
It felt like back then it was much more organic too. Like now it feels like a lot of forced diversity.
Yeah, well, once you sort of get an idea, let's open it up, then you go, yeah. So everything is sort of, there's the original, there's what's serious, and then you get a bunch of people imitating, if they made money doing that, we don't, if they had a black guy star in the thing, then we can get one too, but they got a creative guy, there was a reason for him being there. Now it's just a matter of, it wasn't just because he was black. We'll do that show and we'll get anybody. And sometimes I feel like the demand for skill and talent in some areas isn't as high. Some of it has to do with content. I mean, they make a lot of movies and TV shows. I don't know how people find stuff on TV. There's a lot of it, and some of it isn't very well thought out.
That's
you
very
gotta go,
true.
how did that ever get made? And who is this person, and why is he? Where did he come from? So you're going to get a lot of that, and maybe that's not a bad thing. But the real creative stuff, you know it, you can feel it, you can see it, and I hope we don't lose that, because at a certain point, that the people who will demand excellence,
right?
That's And also, I think sometimes, I'm just speaking as an African American, sometimes we will, in the old days, we would do, well, if that's what they want to see, I can do that too. And so we do a lesser version of our own story because we think that's what they want to see. So a lot of it has changed. It's a lot at play, but it's moving, but it's, I think, moving in the right direction. And hopefully it doesn't change. We did Roots. When Roots came out, it was the biggest television show in history. I mean, it was huge.
Yeah.
And we got all excited because we thought this is going to open the door. We're going to work now, and the door closed.
Wow.
So
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that was? After you've proven the success with the ratings, why wouldn't they make more of that?
Yeah, you would think. I don't know. I think it's a fear of losing. Fear of, if we open that door and they're going to come through. Now, this is just, people ask me things and I answer, I don't know if this, I'm just telling you what I
you feel,
think.
yep.
So it might be whatever. But I think it's a fear. It's a big fear of, if I let you be all you can be, then who's going to want me?
Fear of a black planet.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, if the girl wants you, then why would she want me? You go, because you bring something too. It's a lack of confidence in what you bring. You know what I mean? You don't you're creative. You don't have to steal everything.
Yeah. The colonizer's gonna colonize,
That's
Ernie.
right. Yeah.
All right? You don't have to steal everything, but I can't help
right,
it.
that's
That's
right.
my nature.
Let me get an education. I'm not going to kick you out of the space program. I mean, it's like we can all play.
When you got the script for Ghostbusters, right? What was your first reaction? Right, these big packs on your back and you're shooting ghosts. I don't know if you believe in ghosts or not. Did you say this ain't gonna do nothing, or was it one of those things like this could be a hit?
Oh man, when I got the script, I've been, because you come out, you're always looking for that thing, that one, that role. And I was a single dad. I have two sons I was raising, and you're always hoping for them. So dad's going up for this, dad's going up for that. I got this script, and I thought, man, if I get this role, I mean, it was the role came in the very beginning of the movie, and it was all the way through. It was a great role.
So you knew it was a sequel. You knew this was going to be longevity.
I know this is going. I don't care if we just do this, if they let me do this, the world is going to be a whole different place.
Mm-hmm.
And I let my boys read it, and we all excited. And I knew when I went into that audition, it's one of those things where this is my moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I went in and killed it. This is mine.
This is yours.
And then when it didn't happen, it was like, oh, you want me to come back again? It's like, cause I don't know what I could do different. But so the original script was that, now by the time we got to the movie, the character had been basically cut down, and there have been a lot of changes, and suddenly that wasn't a thing I signed up for. So that was really disheartening.
Remember what you got paid the first one?
Yeah. I don't think it's probably any secret. And I'm saying this because I look back on all this Ghostbusters stuff as a real learning experience. It was exactly what I needed to do to be able to be where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever minimum was, I think probably for Ghostbusters, I might have made $40,000 for the whole movie,
Back then, did you get offered, how like sometimes you hear actors get a smaller percentage, but they get a percentage of the movie? Did you get offered that back then or no?
No, but a lot of it has to do with who's representing you too. There are a lot of things that you come in and you don't know the business, so you just don't know. Nobody's telling you. People, I heard Denzel talk about Sidney Poitier was kind of a mentor to him. Well, nobody ever mentored me. You know what I mean? I ain't never had nobody come and say, let me teach you the ropes, or let me hip you to this. So most of this stuff is you finding out. So if an agent is weak, an agent is trying to just get himself in, and he's not looking out for it, he'll take any deal. So he's so excited. He's got an actor in the movie. He ain't went and fought for me. So the reason there was lack of money is because he was weak, So you say, well, it's all these reasons, but there are a lot of, reasons for, back in those days, we had a quote. So if you were an actor and you would work to build your quote up. So if you got, say, $80,000 for that movie, that's your quote. So the next time a guy wants you, he has to at least deal with your quote. So you're always trying to build your quote up. Well, Ghostbusters paid me half of what they had just paid me for another movie the year before. But once again, the script was so amazing that I just felt like, if I get this role, man, I don't care. Just sign the deal. I didn't realize that you could rewrite the deal before we start shooting. So, you have to own up to a lot. I look back on a lot of things that I agreed to, didn't necessarily have to agree to, but also I didn't want to lose a job. Right. I'm a dad. I got kids. Like I said, I got to keep the gas on. I got school supplies, and so it was all of that. And sometimes as a community, we don't always work together. So having a community where you can kind of go, hey, what's the deal with, because most actors are desperately trying to find a way in themselves, and we kind of lone wolves. We don't really come together. I don't think there's any, most certainly African American actors working, I know very well, but we don't hang out and discuss the business.
Right.
And that's kind of unfortunate, but that's the reality.
What about merch? Like, y'all had toys, y'all was on lunch boxes.
Yeah.
I've seen my face everywhere, even to the point where, they take my history, my personal history, and put it on the box. But I have some deal, but you sign these things, unless you got a real good attorney who can nail some things down, you'll never see that money.
Damn, even for the merch with your likeness?
Yeah, no, you never. You
man, get a proton pack. We're going to shoot the studio up, man. Come on.
You'll never see that money. You never see any of that. Now, I will say the other guys in the movie, they had good attorneys, and so they have made a lot of money. And now the audience don't know the difference. They just assume certain things. Relatives assume certain things. But it's how do you make peace with yourself? I mean, how do you go, okay, I didn't handle that well, but how do I still feel good about myself? How do I still get up in the morning? How do I still, keep stepping forward? How do I, and I think that's, the key to, I have a lot of friends, a lot of people I've known who come out to Hollywood, and after a few years they leave angry, and what the studio did and didn't do, and but that's not how I want to live my life. I mean, I want to. I'm 78 years old. I'm still want to be able to get up, feel good, and I want to have a good life and be an example of what's possible. But so much of that,
Brother, you said 78.
78.
You look amazing.
You look
for
good,
78,
black
bro.
man.
Thank you. Whenever
amazing.
I say that and people don't say anything, I say no. I'm very blessed, but I
no,
also
absolutely,
know
bro.
that we, when I was a kid, my grandmother taught me that Jesus says he's the light of the world, but we're all the lights of the world, and so we have a responsibility to be an example of what's possible. So whether I'm in this business or just in life, you want to show up, showing of what's possible.
That's right.
You see it and you glow and whatever, and that's what God can do, as opposed to, in this country, maybe in the world, people of color, certainly African Americans, Africans, they try to sell on how much less. So you definitely want to step up and be all that you can be, in spite of what the circumstances look like.
And you mentioned being a single father a couple of times. If you don't mind me asking, like, how did that happen? Because we had Andre Ward up here last week, and he was a single father because he was raised by a single father,
right?
Because his mother was on drugs, I believe. So how did you end up a single father?
Well, I got married. I grew up in this little Benton Harbor, Michigan, little town, poor town. We were, I don't want to get into all that, but wasn't a whole lot of opportunities. And back in those days, this was in the 60s, people got married early. So I married at 18. My wife was about to turn 16, and she was in a bad house situation, not because of drugs or anything like that, but just her mother was mean to her. She felt, and so I went over to see her one day, and her mother made her wash dishes, and she was crying, and I said, "Well, you don't have to take this. We can get married." And she said, "Okay." And so we got married, and had to get her mother's permission to get married.
Wow.
And we started our life out, and that was going to be it. And then we both realized that this is our lives, and if we don't do something fast, it ain't gonna change. And this is not how I want to spend the rest of my life, stuck in this town doing the minimal jobs that I'm only qualified for. Mm-hmm. And so we began to work to change things around. Now, she went from being in the 9th grade to getting a PhD. But the sad part of that is, the smarter she got, the dumber I became in her mind, And so when I got into theater, and when it became clear that the marriage is over, she felt that her job was, her work was more important than this stupid acting thing I was doing. So she sent the kids to be with me. I didn't know people did that. I was shocked. I wasn't prepared. I'm like, okay. I never had a dad, I never met my father, never knew my dad. And so the last thing I would do to my kids is not accept it. So I came out to Hollywood as me and my boys, and we had a little 1-bedroom place, and kids took the bedroom, I took the couch, and as Al Jarreau said, we got by.
Damn. Wow. What's the significance of 2 watches? At your age, one must be for health. One's for show, one's for health.
No, man, my health is good.
Okay.
No, this is my computer.
All right.
So I can do anything on my
Apple Watch. That's
my
Apple Watch?
I can do on my computer.
Okay.
So if a phone call comes in, I can answer my phone. I can send messages. I can, whatever. I can see what the temperature is. This is my watch. I like watches. So, and I just hate to, I spend a lot of money on watches.
You won't wear them?
No, I'm going to wear my watch.
Yeah.
So
that Rainbow Rollie is very fresh.
But this is this is a computer. It does everything.
Oh, see, I keep mine for my heart rate, so mine is for health. Mine is definitely for health.
I wanted to ask about what did you think about the all women's Ghostbusters?
Well,
Reviews weren't too great.
we're at a different time than I grew up, and it's a lot about empowering women, and I don't have a problem with that. I think that's a good thing, but how we do it is that could be discussed. I didn't mind the all women Ghostbusters as much as I didn't think it should be a reboot. Just make another movie. I mean, it's been 30 years. You don't got to do the same story. So that was my biggest complaint. All the women in it are brilliant and funny, and I'm a fan of all of theirs. I just thought it was executed differently than I would have done it, and the fans were expecting something different. I don't think it's a terrible movie. Actually, it's kind of fun, but I don't think it was what the fans were expecting. And I think the movie after that, Afterlife, Ghostbusters Afterlife, was kind of a reintroduction to the original idea of Ghostbusters. And I think in this one coming out is now we step further into it.
How was it continuing the Ghostbusters franchise without Harold Ramis?
Well, Harold was the glue. He was the magnet that held everybody together because everybody had their personalities and people would sort of go in different direction. But Harold just had that way of keeping things on course and keeping things together. And for a lot of things that came up for me, a lot of that sort of learning we talked about, Harold was always a guy who would just go, "Hey, Ernie, just no," and he would kind of explain things. So, for me, at Ghostbusters, I started. We talk about how the movie was kind of disappointing because they cut a lot of the parts, and over the years, what I do like about the franchise is Winston, who sort of came in looking for a job. The line was "There's a steady paycheck in it. I believe anything you say." Over the years, he's become a billionaire, and now he owns the Ghostbusters franchise. Right. And he's now kind of the Nick Fury of the Ghostbusters. I mean, he's taken it to another level. He's interested in the science of what's really behind the ghosts. And so there's another level to Winston that I appreciate the fact that they've introduced, and it makes him more of an interesting guy to play.
So what is the Frozen Empire about? And for some of the younger generation that might not have seen the original Ghostbusters, do they have to see the originals to understand Frozen Empire?
No, I don't think so. I think it's definitely for the fans, but yeah, no, I think the movie stands up, on its own. Obviously, we, what do they call us? We're the legacy, us old Ghostbusters, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Annie Potts. We're sort of there, but there's a new team, a new family that we met in the Ghostbusters Afterlife. But it's kind of blending the two. It's kind of a nice. But I hope this opens the door to move into other areas. I mean, every culture has its ghost stories, and all over the world. I'd like to see that, and I'd like to see some serious Ghostbusters where we could deal with some not so funny, demons that a lot of people believe in and live their lives by. So I'd like to. I think it has a lot of possibilities. We'll see what happens.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Yeah, I believe that there are other dimensions. I think we only have 5 senses. If it doesn't show up in one of those 5 senses, we don't even know it's there. So there's a lot more going on. I think we all know that.
I agree 100%.
We're finding rays and things that we didn't even know existed. I don't even know how the telephone gets through the walls, but it's happening. So as we discover more, but yeah, I believe that I don't believe this is the end of our existence, and I grew up in a culture that believed, and I've always believed that I've been guided by, ancestors, family. I think we're not in this alone, and I think unfortunately some people don't understand. I think if people believe that, they would probably make better choices.
Oh, 100%. As a black man, did you have family when you first got the Ghostbusters road? I was like, don't do this. You're going to invite them bad spirits in your life.
Well, I think when family realize they're going to be paying you, now they don't know how much they're going to pay you, but yeah, you're going to be in that movie? Oh, you should know. Don't worry about the ghosts. You're going to do that movie. But I have had people say, those ghosts, they'll follow you home. I was invited to Arizona to a haunted hotel. They wanted me to spend the night because that was a Ghostbuster. But a lot of friends say, don't do that, and ghosts, once they lock on to you, you'll never. So yeah, but thankfully I haven't had any bad ghost experiences. But I don't play with it either. I got invited to a ghost haunt because there's a ghost. I get invited to a lot of stuff in Mississippi at midnight, and I'm like, okay, you want me to come to Mississippi? Nah. So, and a lot of people, a lot of the these ghost hunters, they've kind of got inspired from Ghostbusters, and a lot of organizations now. There's a Ghostbuster chapter in every major city, pretty much around the world. I mean, you get together. I think in New York, there are probably 3 or 4 different chapters. So.
Well, it's amazing that y'all shot. Well, the old station, we just moved about a year and a half ago, but we were right on Canal Street, right next to the Ghostbusters spot, right next to the fire station. Did y'all tape there?
Well, they got some shots there, but no, mostly they rebuilt that stuff on stage. I mean, now they can do everything on stage. Between the stage, CGI, it's that the fire station is about 3 times the size of what it actually is. It looks the same outside. You go inside on the set, we got all kinds of. So that's a creative license, but
I thought y'all taped it down there. I know he has to go because he has to leave at 10:45. I always want to know the theme song.
Yeah, Ray Parker
Jr. That theme song was so big. It's probably one of the biggest theme songs when it came to that. Do you know how that came about, or was that just the producers, or because it had so much soul back then? I mean, it was.
Yeah. No, I don't think you can separate the movie from the song.
No way.
You know what I mean? I think the studios probably would have liked to have done something else, but it's just it's in the DNA, And Ray Parker, who wrote the song, I think he, and I don't know the whole deal, but I think maybe the studio didn't expect it to be the song, and probably gave him a lot more of the rights than they expected.
So he's eating over there. Good for him. So there's a brother eating over there. All right.
So he's doing very, very well.
Okay.
So I can walk into his foyer of his house, and I go, okay, you got paid. You got a better deal than I did. So
no, I've seen some stories about that Ray Parker in that song. He made some money.
Oh yeah. He'll be in town actually. He'll be in town. So he's a good dude too. So I'm very happy.
Now, he's right. I think he wrote Mr. Telephone Man. Like he gets busy.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you joining us. I know you got to go, and good luck. The movie comes out March 22nd.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Ghostbusters: The Frozen Empire. Ernie Hudson. Thank you for joining us, bro.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.